we're diving into a very hot issue nowadays, and that is artificial intelligence. So it's a hot topic that even the lawmakers are talking about it, the world leaders are talking about it, and even the professionals in different fields, they're already using it. But in this episode, we'll try to talk about one exciting field, and that is the field of architecture.
Architect John Bersabe.
When was the first time you used AI in your industry?
Can there be intelligence without an organic brain?
Intelligence doesn't always come from the organic brain, but intelligence as we define in the industry now is intelligence is a response to a stimuli.
Will there be a time when AI will replace people? Will there be a machine later on that could probably replace architects?
Will there be an artificial intelligence which is more intelligent than, say, the brain of St. Thomas Aquinas who wrote the Summa Theologiae, or the brain of Albert Einstein who formulated and discovered the theory of relativity E equals mc squared?
At the end of the day, an AI or a machine learning model is a tool for efficiency.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. We're back. Rakdag 2.0, small talk about big things in life. Father Philip.
It's our second episode, and we are blessed to have somebody to consult with our topic about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, we're diving into a very hot issue nowadays, and that is artificial intelligence. How have we developed in terms of technology in such a manner that this technology has mimicked the way we think as human beings? How far have we gone when it comes to research and in applying this kind of technology in different fields?
Recently I watched in CNN about the discussion in the parliament in the UK and Europe about the regulations to be made for the use of AI because it poses like an existential threat to humanity. So that's what I watched in the CNN.
Okay. So it's a hot topic that even the lawmakers are talking about it, the world leaders are talking about it, and even the professionals in different fields, they're already using it. And in fact, without knowing it, probably we are already using it unknowingly when we log into the website and the computer predicts what we're supposed to choose. All the variety, all the options that we have, they have already been like preempted and pre-calculated, and so they have entered into such algorithm. But in this episode, we'll try to talk about one exciting field, and that is the field of architecture. So, Father Philip found a very good resource speaker for this.
Yes.
And he's about to introduce to every one of us.
It's my pride to introduce my cousin. Architect John Bersabe is based in Davao. He's the principal architect of Bersabe Design Studio, whose focus is on artificial intelligence and advanced computational tools for the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. So his passion and focus lies in bridging the gap across these fields with the latest tools to create a more efficient and sustainable architecture for people. So without prolonging, good morning, Architect John.
Good morning, guys.
You look familiar.
Hey.
In the show, right?
Nice to see you once again.
I remember.
Yeah.
So, welcome back to the show, and this time we'll be talking about a sort of technology that we are not quite familiar about, and so probably you can shed a light on this topic. So, I think the first question that we have here is, when was the first time you used AI in your industry?
Okay, so I started using artificial intelligence last year because last year was just mostly the advent of AI and AI models since during that pandemic most of us were locked down and left in our own devices, literally. So that was a time where people started to develop their own machine learning or artificial intelligence models in the industry that we see nowadays. And also, can also call it later on as we go along the discussion. The layman's term for it, or the technical term for it, is more of machine learning, and we're also going to. Also going to introduce you what machine learning is later. Yeah.
Okay. Since you mentioned about machine learning, so it seems like oxymoronic for me, because machine learning, you need an organic brain. Machine, you have a technology. So can there be intelligence without an organic brain?
Mhm. So that is a potential question, since we also need to define what is intelligence per se. So the best thing to look at when we talk about intelligence is we looking into nature and something organic. And intelligence doesn't always come from the organic brain, but intelligence, as we define in the industry now, is intelligence is a response to a stimuli, or how smart is the response to that stimuli. And that's where we try to create or simulate those responses in an artificial world. So that's what we call artificial intelligence or machine learning. Yeah, so that for one, and I can say, if we talk about intelligence in that direction, we can say that yes, we there can be intelligence without the organic brain. But if we look into the provenance of intelligence and where we get this intelligence from, then yes, definitely you're not able to create artificial intelligence without the organic brain that is that of the human. So yeah, yes and no.
Yeah, you mentioned about the beginning, the intelligence, defining it so as a response to stimuli and how smart its response. So it can really accommodate the artificial kind of intelligence. Even I think even the term intelligence, the meaning is evolving. Like Daniel Goldman, we talk about intellectual intelligence and emotional intelligence, and now we have multiple intelligences. So therefore, I would say that it really is accommodating and encompassing of the latest meaning of what you have given us, a smart response, or how smart is the response to stimuli as intelligence.
Okay. So, would you agree with the definition that basically intelligence is about the reaction to a stimuli? For example, the animals can have the same reaction, for example, the stimulus. Are we now equating instinctive reaction?
But he said how smart. So the intelligence, there will be a level of intelligence and degrees of intelligence.
Yes.
Because even in philosophy, you have a sentient intelligence with sensitive knowledge. We have also like vegetative state for plants. But we have the rational knowledge for human being. But now it's even a kind of, it's not even super rational, if you may accept it. Like something like that. So there are degrees in different contexts. It can be accepted for me.
Great. So, do you think, Neil, do you think we have arrived already at that stage wherein this non-organic artificial intelligence has already mimicked human intelligence in all its, we can say, in its full sense?
Particular tasks. Let's say, for example, similar to calculators, like calculators are good at calculating, but they are not good at things. So the artificial intelligence or the AI models or the machine learning models that we've created now in industry are good at creating some things, but very bad at doing other things. So similar to what going back to what I mentioned earlier about a response to stimuli. So since AI is also something looking into flora, let's say, for example, leaves, how smart leaves are they would try to face the sun as much as possible. So that's a response to stimuli, and that's what AI or machine learning scientists are looking towards mimicking. So currently, what I believe, and now we have reached to a point where the AI machine learning models like ChatGPT is good at language models, wherein they try to get data sets of different languages from the internet and coalesce that into something that is responsive to what we see as a reply or a chatbot reply that is smart enough for humans to absorb and analyze.
You mentioned about ChatGPT. Can you define a little bit why is this called ChatGPT for our layman's
Okay.
listeners?
Okay, so ChatGPT, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So ChatGPT is just, in layman's term, a smart chatbot. So basically, it started as a chatbot wherein, let's say, for example, you chat with Siri, Siri, what time is it? And then she would reply. It's just a smarter version of it, because when we talk about artificial intelligence or machine learning, it's just a smart way of talking about statistics, basically. So let's say when we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about models now try to predict something. So predictions from. So we look into past analysis of past statistics, wherein what are the chances of this to be the answer of a question that is posed like this. So that is AI in a layman's term, like a chatbot that is smart.
Okay.
Yeah, as I've read one reaction from a scientist, is that ChatGPT is prediction on adrenaline. So it's like really it's like taking the prediction in a whole different dimension, because it's a complicated system.
Yeah.
So Neil, you have applied artificial intelligence in your own field in architecture. How is this possible? How far have you reached in applying artificial intelligence in the field?
Okay, so good question. So since we're talking about artificial intelligence in architecture, we tried to apply this in a project wherein we're looking into how are we going to build informal settlements. And since the problem with informal settlements is that there is this certain level of randomness of the different buildings, but the problem with those randomness is that it's not optimized or optimized for different problems or possibilities. Let's say, for example, like the study that I did is the problem with flooding, and the problem with overpopulation, and the problem with economic footprint, ecological footprint, wherein a certain plot of land, there are too many buildings wherein you're not able to grow plants. So what the AI model this design space is very big. We try to simulate different of different possibilities and possible outcomes of different housing configurations. So the advantage of using AI is that we're able to train a model that predicts or runs over millions and millions of iterations of best possible predictions and solutions to get into a best and optimized solution for a certain problem, wherein that's the limitation of a human brain. You're only able to provide like 2 schemes, 3 schemes, 10 schemes, and you're already out of ideas, wherein the AI is more robust in terms of that aspect.
Well, so that's the application of AI on the randomness of informal settling. So when can we unpack that a little bit? When we talk about randomness, are you referring to the configuration of the house, or of the living condition, or the terrain itself? So I think they're all in that manner.
Yeah. So in terms of design space, so when we talk about design space, I'm referring to what different parameters are we looking into. So since informal settlements here in Davao City, there is a plot of land wherein the government gave free reign to the people to build anything in that certain area. And the problem with build anything is that people can put houses here without restrictions, like 3 stories, some are 2 stories, some doesn't even have setbacks. People are just building as big as they can, and some already have problems because another house is taller than them and they don't get enough sunlight. And that certain parameter space or design space is what the AI looks into and tries to predict what is the possible or best possible outcome that or configuration for those houses.
When we come back, the second part, I hope you can share about your thesis that you defended in University of Lisbon in Portugal about the use of AI for the informal settlers and low-income families.
The Holy Rosary Minor Seminary traces back its origins to as early as 1785, when a royal decree from Spain established the Seminario Conciliar de Nueva Cáceres. For quite a time, it was the only advanced learning institution in South Luzon. The Dominican bishop, Domingo Colliantes, established the seminary canonically on March 7, 1797. The initial mission was to train local priests to augment the decreasing presence of the religious in this part of the islands. Soon, it became a stepping stone for the growth of local principalia, the illumined and free minds. In 1865, Bishop Francisco Gainza pushed further the seminary's growth and development by establishing its statutes. He also renamed it to Seminario del Santísimo Rosario, indicating the Dominicans' passion for competitive education. He also invited the well-renowned Vincentian Fathers to take over its administration. Its historic corridors and classrooms have seen young men pass and grow to become leaders of the church, like the first Filipino bishop, Jorge Barlin, Jose Cardinal Sanchez, Archbishop Adolfo Tito Iliana, and countless other bishops and priests. It has been a nurturing mother as well for national heroes like Jose Maria Panganiban and Tomas Arejola, and other 6 of the 15 martyrs of Bicol. The seminary has withstood all kinds of crises, from fire, earthquake, systematic education, dearth of well-equipped teachers, and dissolution. Recently, the pandemic tipped the balances of this sense of stability. The great responsibility of sustaining this glorious past falls on our shoulders now. We are motivated by the glorious past, the present challenges. As the Spanish saying goes, aprende del pasado, vive el presente y trabaja para el futuro is one of those. Learn from the past, live the present, and work for the future. With a tinge of optimism, we, the priest formators, teaching and administrative staff, as well as the seminary personnel, dream of bouncing back from the pandemic as a better, more resilient educational and formation institute in Bicol. We cannot do this on our own. It is for this reason that we are launching the Beads of Hope, a Holy Rosary Minor Seminary pledge program. Much like the Holy Rosary, whatever help you pledge today would be a bead of hope, a sigh of prayer to the heavens that we could all together produce joyful Catholic leaders for our society. Your help will be our second, third, and fourth wind that would keep us going, dreaming and working for a brighter future of our local church.
You know, it takes a village to achieve all of our dreams. And I'm happy that you wanted to be part of this. Thank you for inspiring us to dream. Thank you for inspiring us to bounce back better from this pandemic so that we can assure our society of our next community leaders. Let us continue to dream and walk together in forming HRMS leaders. They are holistic, they are resilient but respectful, they are mission driven, and they are servant leaders. God bless all of you.
Okay, so
Welcome back.
welcome back. This is our second part. Architect, you told me a while ago that that you just came from Portugal because you studied there for your masteral in University of Lisbon, and you defended your masteral thesis on the use of AI for informal and settlers and low income families. Can you share something about this? Your
Okay.
research.
So there are 5 things that I looked into when I was trying to predict best possible outcomes for informal settlements. So what I trained an AI or a machine learning model to predict best possible outcomes in terms of flooding, in terms of ecological aspects like where is the best greening, accessibility, where is a house located to the nearest exit or the nearest hospital or the nearest emergency or basketball court, and some other things that are a little bit more technical. But what's important is that since we have these certain problems, I tried to encompass those problems into numbers that is objective and that is quantifiable, in which I trained a machine learning model to predict those particular to create a scoring to predict best possible outcomes for these different statistics and different scores for. Yeah.
Okay, so if I get that right, aside from finding solutions for this new settlement, you're also training yourself to train the machine. So it's like you're
Yes.
now studying more or less 2 kinds of field. One is architecture, and now you're also entering into machine learning,
Yeah.
all this automation. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit, how would I call it, curious about the term prediction, the machine predicting. No? Is it really predicting or projecting? Projection, making projections for the future? Because prediction, I don't know the term, perhaps my understanding of predictions is still very crude because human beings, fortune tellers they can predict about what the number of random number that will win in lotto, something like that. If there is a machine that can predict the lotto, so many will be millionaires and billionaires. So what do you mean by that particular prediction, or making certain kind of algorithm, something like that?
Yes. So, Father, in our technical, in our
Sorry, if I may add, like for example, the quantum computing, you can do it. If it'll take years for the human beings to make the compute, but you can take only 1 hour or 1 day for human beings.
Yeah. So Father, in our technical term, it's called predicting. Since predicting is the process of creating an outcome based from past or historical statistical evidences that we have. So a best example that I can share with you with what machine learning is, let's say for example, for in the medical field, there are already thousands and millions of data sets that host different data of different people that have, let's say for example, blood pressure, CBC, and different data, and they would like to predict what are the chances of this person to have cancer. So they created a machine learning model or an AI that based from those statistics, okay, he has high blood pressure, he has this and that. Then because of this, he has high chances of having these kinds of cancer. So this is what the machine learning model is good at, trying to predict something based from statistical data that it is fed. So these chat GPT and the different AI models that are prevalent nowadays, before we can use them, we also need to ask ourselves, what are the data sets that the machine learning model is trained on? Is it biased? Is it ethical? Let's say, for example, another example in the policing field in the US, there are high chances that African Americans are likely to be chosen as purveyors of crime and whatever, because the trained machine learning model data sets was trained on pictures of mostly African American men rather than white people. So definitely the AI model would predict if he can see a black person, he would see that this is a criminal like that. So there's a different ethics around that machine learning model.
Yeah, there's a recent case in Memphis, Tennessee about this tyrannical victim, no, of police brutality. Now, perhaps can you say that the machine is better in making meta-analysis, not just analysis, but meta-analysis of all the research or data than the human being?
In these particular focused fields, yes.
I think the burning question here, I think I'll get to the bottom of this, is that people fear whether they are lawmakers, they are the world leaders, whether they are like us, the clergy, or even the everyday person that we meet on the streets. Will there be a time when AI will replace people? For example, in your own field, will there be a machine later on that could probably replace architects? If you have your own firm, if you're running a firm in architecture, engineering, will there be a time wherein these machines will replace people?
It's a hard and contentious question that is flying around the industry now. But at the end of the day, if we are able to objectify sensibilities into numbers and values into numbers and other sensibilities that is ephemeral and visceral that is not quantifiable into numbers, then there will come a point where machines can replace humans. So there is, with regards to jobs in the future, just like VHS was replaced by DVDs and DVDs was replaced by CDs, there are jobs in the industry place like receptionists and other people that have a language and communication work. Some AI models can replace them now, but some like in our industry, in the architecture field, some AI models can already create floor plans and create different types of buildings. But one thing that is lacking in their design is the sensibilities and the things that is not quantifiable by numbers. Like how can you create an architecture that evokes emotion, that evokes something like this and that? That is yet to be trained into a numbers and a computer like an AI.
For you, architect Neil, will AI be under ethics or under morality, or will there be a global ethics governing the use of AI, or will it be amoral or neutral? Yeah. I think in the near future, will there be a committee that will govern the ethics of the use of artificial intelligence?
Sorry, Father, I think you froze like 2 minutes. I wasn't able to get the question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is, will there be a committee or that will govern the ethical use of AI? So, or will the proponents of AI say that it is not governed by morality, it's amoral and it's neutral, so it cannot be governed or subject to moral guidelines?
Definitely, even now, there are already boards and ethics committee that are responsible in looking into the data sets that are being trained in a machine learning model or an AI, because the data sets are key to wherein the AI creates a bias or creates a preference in terms of predictions. Let's say, just like the example that I mentioned earlier, accurate. So there are already morality and boards and committees that are looking into the trained data set. So as a responsible human being looking into these AI and machine learning models in the future, before you try to use them, try to think about what is the data sets that are used to train these models, and are they reliable? And that's also what ChatGPT is already good at, since the data sets that they're using, and OpenAI is the Google engine that is already millions of data sets which are good already.
Yeah, just like I think any good tool, it will depend on how it is used. And I think
Yes.
it's easier when you determine it as a tool. If it's used for example, when it has the bias, for example, in the gathering of data, for example, of all the mischievous people around. And of course, it's easier. But I think the more interesting question is, can the machine learn morality? Can it learn ethics? Because I've seen one TED talk which explains to us how we arrive at decisions. For example, it is all based on our background, for example, on our DNA, for example. So you were saying a while ago, when we are able to convert into numbers, for example, the ephemeral and all the things, the transcendentals that we can call in philosophy, if we are able, for example, to decode the genetic disposition or predispositions of human beings into numbers and then put it into machines, is there a possibility later on that this machine can also learn a certain framework of morality or ethical standards?
There is a very large possibility of that happening. Like now, morality, let's say, for example, what are the chances for this bound to happen? So it's dependent on the data sets that is being trained. How many people are going to this with regards to this? So if the data sets say that most 1 of 50 or 90 out of 100 people are doing this, and then this is good, and then these are things that can be crunched into numbers, and that's wherein there is a certain morality or ethics involved in terms of AI.
Short question. Will there be an artificial intelligence which is more intelligent than, say, the brain of St. Thomas Aquinas, who wrote the Summa Theologiae, or the brain of Albert Einstein, who formulated and discovered the theory of relativity, E equals mc squared? I'm just asking whether human creativity will surrender to the artificial intelligence, or human creativity still will have the superlative or excellence over the artificial intelligence.
Definitely not. So that's a limitation in terms of artificial intelligence. So it's a tool that is made by humans, and it still does not have that sentient capability of understanding itself. Just like humans understood itself, the brain named itself the brain, and that's some things that the AI is still not capable of.
And if you would agree with me, the capacity to understand itself or reflexive understanding is wisdom.
Definitely, yes. Yes, po.
I've heard a recent app that is now being employed in architecture. It's called ArchiCAD, and I think there was a symposium, seminar on this. And I think this is being offered now in the different universities, that several days of work can actually be shortened, all because they already have these data sets, even the texture of the walls, even the materials that can be used. And I think, is this now the fashion in architecture? Is it now being employed in almost on architecture affairs?
Yes, po. And to be frank, we're also using some similar to that one, an app that is similar to that one now. And at the end of the day, an AI or a machine learning model is a tool for efficiency rather than something that is sentient or contrary to popular belief, what people are thinking. So it's still a tool that is being used for efficiency and making things easier.
So we'll end there. No, beautiful. Human AI is a tool for you efficiency, and will not supplant human creativity. So we have reached the time. I think the time we have reached. So we'd like to express our gratitude for, despite your hectic schedule, cousin, that you allowed us to interview you about this artificial intelligence.
Okay. Kudos to your defense of your thesis, and I'm sure you'll be able to contribute a lot to the society, and most especially to the discipline. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Just marvelous,
Yeah.
Nicola.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity as well. Cheers, guys.
Okay, so we've reached the end of this episode, but this is not the end of the topic on AI, as we have promised to our audiences that we will still continue to talk about it for the rest of the month, probably.
And yes, and this is just an appetizer for that broad topic of AI.
And we'll consider other fields, probably the fields of education. And if you can interview a military guy, probably let's talk about artificial intelligence in the military. And so stay tuned in Rakdag 2.0, small talk about big things in life.